Prophecy's Pawn, a Spec story of a post-apocalyptic nature by StoryMan-Jack.
James,
The old man said as he handed the young man a bowl.
it's time we speak about the past.
James nodded. He'd asked the old man enough. Though Gramps had raised him, he knew that there wasn't any other person on this earth that was his blood. The old man wasn't his blood. James was a foundling, and finally the old man would tell him the real story.
Long ago,
The man began after having set his bowl aside for the thick stew to cool. The world was much different.
a great aged man and his tools conquered the whole of the world and sought the stars.
The old man sighed. All we have left now are the stories,
And them old cities we dig in to get the shaped metal and hardened crete to work and trade with.
What happened? James asked.
Why, the world exploded, boy. You know that much.
But why? The kid wanted to know.
Something to do with them fire mountains off to the west, the old man said. It's said that the whole plain blew up and changed the world forever.
Of course, the fire mountains, James whispered.
Some said, the old man growled, that it was them creator that done it. That man ruined the earth beyond repair, and he'd given us, and it was our punishment.
Well, was that true? James asked.
No, of course not, the old man said. Why, we're of mankind, boy. We do enough shit for God to punish us other than messing up the planet. If in anything, the stories say we came up with ways to kill innumerable amounts of people I couldn't even count, all at once, at the push of a button. He shook his head. No, shit just happens sometimes, boy.
The kid, James, thought for a moment before he asked the question. But why do people believe the Creator did it? He asked.
You know they did. You know why. That's why I told you never to tell anyone to follow the book. They'll burn you for a witch or something.
James' bright eyes glimmered as he understood something. I think maybe people just needed a reason, so they blamed the only thing they could. The old man nodded.
But that's going to change, he said,
picking up his bowl and starting to eat. James thought about that.
Why would it change?
He asked. I saw one of the Mexi tribes string a man up just for saying the word Chris.
They thought he said Christ, boy.
The old man corrected him. James scraped the last of his stew and bowl and shook his head. I know, that's what's so crazy about it. I heard him. He was calling for his brother Chris.
Yep, that's why you got to be careful, the old man said. And you're going to change it.
James' face went numb, or looked as if it had. What?
I found you, the old man said. Told you that much.
James only nodded.
I lied about why I found you and how I did it.
Huh?
I lied?
I thought you were, like, leaving something out, but lied? James was confused.
I didn't just happen across your young ma dying while she giving birth to you, he said.
Well, then how did it happen, then? James asked. The old man tapped the side of his head.
A voice. Sounded just like my old pa, but it wasn't my old pa. I'd not heard that voice since I was a lad, and it told me to go and find you, right where you'd be.
A voice? James asked, laughing. In your head? The old man's expression never changed, full of solemn seriousness, his spoon held halfway to his mouth. I know I've only read a few books, the ones we could find that were still legible, James said, still chuckling, but even I know that you aren't supposed to have voices telling you what to do in your head.
I'm not having fun on you, kid, the old man said in a growl. This is important.
James narrowed his eyes. Okay, he said.
I wasn't just told how and where to find you, the old man said. I was told you're going to be the first prophet of a new age.
How do you know you aren't just sick, old man? James asked, not even understanding why he was really angry.
'Cause, boy,
the old man said in a tone he were teaching a small child or an absolute idiot. "You're exactly where I was told you'd be. And your dear old ma was alive enough to tell me your name." "James," he said, "nothing special."
"Way back, long time ago, peoples had two names," man said.
The man James called Grandpa told him. James nodded. "I heard that before, but couldn't understand why people did that."
"There's a lot more people and wonders of their world. Was that they could live on the other side of the planet and talk to their family or travel to one another so fast we couldn't even dream it," the old man said. "They had metal birds in the sky that would carry them back and forth. Now we stay together mostly."
"All right," James said, wondering where this was going.
"Your name is James Christian,"
the old man said. "Oh, Lord," thought James. "My very name is taboo. Speaking his own name would get him sentenced to death, or strung up in a tree, tied under a fire. The Mexicans, the nomadic peoples of the Southwest, he and the old man traded metalwork with, would drag him behind horses until he was dead. The Yankers in the North, in their compact walled cities, would behead him on sight just for having the name, and the redneckers in the Southeast would do far worse, depending on which clan found him." James shook his head. "I'm glad I'll never need it," he said. The old man shook his head.
"You were born to bring the Creator back to the world."
"Because you will leave with the rise of the sun in the east in the morning," another voice said, one in his head. "You will only take that which you can carry."
"What?"
James said, without realizing he had done so out loud. The old man just nodded, chuckled to himself, and laid on himself some more stew. Then took James' empty and refilled it. "You will go with a weapon to kill with, a weapon to hunt with, and one container of water. You will travel across the Fire Mountains to the place the people there call Baja, all that is left of a large land." "Who are you?" James asked. "Child, it matters not. If my children would recover, they need something to believe, just as they needed something to blame." "What if no one believes? What if I don't believe?" he asked, frustrated. But the voice had gone silent. Tell me what you think about this speculation story, and where you think it would go, and if you like it or dislike it. Let me know if you'd like to hear more in this universe that was created out of whole scratch. If you do enjoy my work, please like, share, subscribe, and have a wonderful day.